Hey guys, today I'm here with the HPI Venture. Now, I've gone over this video intro so many times already and I keep restarting. This car has one of the longest paths for a car that is just being released. It was shown to us over 2 years ago with a bunch of features that would have put it at the very top of the possible offerings in the market at the time. And then it just kept getting pushed back. Now it's released and it's got a lot of company. This rig has a nice scale-ish looking axle, forward mounted motor with a chassis mounted servo, 3-link in the front. The rear is a Y-link upper, but it has the parts that you need to convert it to a 4-link in the rear. And overall, it's a simple build for what it is, but it's all there and it's a really nice solid base at a pretty decent price. This car ready to run is like $369, so it's a little bit less expensive than some of the other ready to run options out there. That is going to be one of the key points of this car at this time. Now, I've had this car for a few weeks now. I did a live teardown where I completely stripped this car down to the bare axles to see what was inside, took the transmission apart, took the transfer case apart, got a look at everything about this car just to see how it was put together. Throughout that teardown, I'm pretty impressed. Everything is nice and solid. The transmission, all metal gears in it. The transfer case, all metal gears with nice beefy 32 pitch gears in there. The transmission and transfer case in this thing really feels like it's going to hold up well. The front mounted motor is forward and it's a little bit high, but it's not way up high like the MST, for example. The front mounted servo is mounted in a nice convenient spot. You get no bump steer. It's got nice long links. The shocks on this are some of the best that I've felt on a ready to run crawler, probably only rivaled by the quality of the Traxxas shocks on the TRX4. Just like all of these scale type trucks, if you don't like the body, it's just a Lexan body. Get rid of it, replace it with something you do like, and change the bumpers out, whatever you need to do. This car sits at the traditional 12.5 inch or 12.3 inch wheelbase, so it's really easy to find tons of options. Personally, I have already done some modifications to this car. My biggest complaint about this car was the stock tires. They're just a very unscale looking tire, and I think that is a real downside to a truck as far as that first outward appearance that people get when they're seeing the truck either on the shelf, on pictures online, at the hobby shop, whatever it may be. I think the Traxxas has suffered from that same thing. They both have very unscale looking tires. So I have already swapped out the wheels and tires on this. I decided to go with a little bit different route than I have in the past. I picked up some of the Proline all-terrain style tires. They're a small tire. They're only about 4¼ inches tall, or maybe a little bit less even. And then I mounted them on some Vanquish KMC machetes in that orange. I think that it looks pretty decent next to the tan-ish color that they have on the body. I think that helps offset it. Beyond that, I've done a few other little things. I did take off the brush guard that was on the front of this bumper. In the spare parts bag that this vehicle comes with, there's plugs that fill in the spots where the brush guard went, so it gives you a nice smooth front on that bumper. I also decided to remove the spare tire carrier that was in the rear of this car. It's just weight in the rear. I didn't feel that it was needed, and I'm just going for a little bit cleaner and simpler look. I also decided to take and move the front bumper in as far as possible. It didn't take any trimming at all. It was just removing 2 set pins in the front bumper support, sliding the bumper all the way in and replacing those pins. Now, this car does come with plastic lower links all the way around and a plastic upper wishbone link in the rear. I don't like plastic links. Nobody likes plastic links. Plastic links only serve as a cost savings for the companies. And as this market progresses, having plastic links on a car is going to become one of those things that is going to have to go away for companies to come out with a option that stands up against the competition a little bit better. Now, with that said, this car does come in the spare parts bag with an upper link mount for that rear axle to convert this to a 4-link. So while I had taken this car completely apart, I took that opportunity to put on that new upper link mount and then assemble a set of custom links for this car to get rid of those plastic links. Now, underneath of this thing, I have also made a couple of simple modifications that took very little time and almost no investment. On the pros and cons list of this car, it is heavily stacked in the pros column. I will say that. There are a few cons, and another one of them, besides those plastic links, was the rear-mounted battery tray. Now, this had a very large rear-mounted battery tray that was supporting stick pack size batteries, just either nickel metal packs, which it does come with a nickel metal pack, or it can also use a standard size LiPo pack. This does have a front mounted motor, so there is a forward weight bias already, but what I've done is I removed the electronics tray that sat just behind the servo, and that mounted a small electronics receiver box and the ESC. I decided to remove that, and then I purchased a BPC battery tray. This is just an aluminum battery tray that has a couple of universal mounts that allow this thing to bolt to almost any type of chassis with a fairly wide range of spacings. To mount it, it didn't take any fabrication or any special parts. It bolted right in after I unbolted the electronics tray. There are two things in this car that you won't see currently though, and that is the receiver and the ESC. I'm going to replace both of those. I run Futaba radios and everything, so I was going to replace the receiver anyway. And as far as the ESC goes, it comes with a 3S capable ESC with drag brake, and it comes with a 35 turn motor. In almost all of my builds, I try and run high quality electronics. This one is going to be no different, but I am going to go with a brushed setup in this. And not for any reason. This all metal geared transmission and transfer case, I think could stand up to brushless power probably without any upgrades at all. Do you need to immediately strip out all the electronics and move stuff around like I am? No. However, I was able to do almost all the modifications on here for very low investment, and it'll probably make a fairly dramatic difference in the performance difference of this car. Now, I did swap on some aluminum beadlock wheels. Not necessary. That's just a style thing. I wanted something that was a little bit bolder against the color choice of this body. Now, while building the custom link set that I show on this car right now, I did run into one issue while I was doing it, and that is that the link pockets that they use on the skid plate and that rear upper link mount are much narrower than the traditional Traxxas Revo rod end that a lot of us use. I could have snapped the metal rod ends that are in those plastic links that they include, and I could have put those into those Traxxas Revo rod ends. They're a little bit tight, but I think they would have worked, and that would have allowed me to get away without having to do any grinding. Now, I would have only had to do that in the skid plate and in that upper link mount, something maybe you can learn from and make it a little bit easier on yourself if you're looking to replace the links on this car. So, overall thoughts. Do I think that this car is worth buying? Yes. I think the biggest question to this car is, will the market take hold of it and run with it? If the buyers out there buy this car and run with it, the aftermarket will then follow. And I think the aftermarket is a big part of a success of a car like this. Do I think that this car would take off if it was from Traxxas or Viterra or Axial? Yeah, I do, because it's well built, the parts look good, it's simple, the price point is good. But HPI has had a mark on its record in the recent past, and people have to feel comfortable that the brand is going to recover and offer them everything that they need to support their new purchase down the road. So hopefully HPI continues to keep pushing forward and coming back from that hole that they've been in the last couple of years, because this is a good car. So that's where I'm at with the HPI venture. I hope that this car catches on. It's a quality car. It's simple, not a ton of bells and whistles going on, but everything is done well, and it really deserves to take off. If you have the chance to check one out, go see one in person and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'd say that the biggest hurdle that this car has to get over right now is the aftermarket wanting to decide to jump onto that HPI wagon. You can comment below whether or not you feel that adding an HPI car like this to your stable is something that you are interested in. And then you can check out some of the other comments and see how the market is accepting this car right now. And that in turn could give us an idea of how this car will do in the future. And I'm interested to see that. I'm looking forward to see what HPI has for us with this car and other cars like it, hopefully in the future, if this car is a success. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.